Welcome, everyone. I am here with the most amazing Kerri. Her story is very profound. I think a lot of women will find a lot of relatability and a lot of hope from Kerri's story. And in the last year, Kerri, to be honest with you, your last year has been probably one of the most chaotic, crazy years of your life, right? However,
Absolutely.
when we first started, Kerri was struggling with lupus, fibromyalgia, Hashimoto's, IBS, hypoglycaemia, chronic exhaustion, chronic pain, brain fog, social anxiety, poor sleep. She had breast cancer. And on top of that was gaining weight and just felt like no weight loss protocol, no weight loss program was actually working for her. But now, a year later, you've lost over 21 pounds. So you exceeded your weight loss goal, right? But the weight wasn't the goal. You've also dramatically improved your digestion, your energy, creating healthy habits that have also rippled across your family. This is going to be one of those stories that you might cry. I will probably cry. And there's a lot of passion, a lot of emotion, and a lot of hope from Kerri's story. So thank you so much for coming in today. And I genuinely mean this, by the way. So I'd love to talk to you, Kerri, just to get an understanding of what it was like for you before we started, because I know that a lot of women that I speak to struggle with one or many of the things that you struggled with, and could probably see, maybe really find hope in knowing that they weren't alone, that they're not alone. So would you mind sharing what it was like for you when we first started?
When I go back to when we were starting, it's hard to fathom what it was like if, compared to what it is now, but I rarely got out of bed. My husband had to do everything around the house because I spent most of my time sleeping. I would be in bed while he got the kids off to school. He would get them breakfast. Sometimes I would have a shower, sometimes I wouldn't. I was in so much physical pain that even raising my arms to shampoo my hair was really unbearable. The pain was really horrific. And the exhaustion from showering, I would literally go back to bed without even having dried myself off. I would still have the towel wrapped around me and lay in bed from the exhaustion. Um, the pain, the anxiety, the stress of it, of not being able to care for my family. I wasn't sleeping. I had to take sleeping medication, constantly trying different ones because they would also keep me very fatigued as well. Um, I gained weight, laying in bed's not great for anyone. And I was gaining weight and very depressed because I had maintained a healthy weight for so many years, and everything I
Mm,
tried just seemed to fail. Or
mm,
I might lose some weight and then it would come back.
mm. That's something that we haven't talked about, actually, that I hear a lot is I was healthy all the way up until, right? This is a very common story. I was healthy. When I was young, I was either fit or I exercised a lot or I was healthy. And then this one thing happened. And then weight just suddenly increased. And for some people, it will be hitting menopause. For some people, it'll be getting a diagnosis or something like that. So how did that feel, like knowing that you were really healthy and at a, let's just say, healthy weight for you, and then something happened and then like everything changed for you? How did that feel?
It was scary for me because I felt like I wasn't in control of my life anymore. So I started to feel very hopeless and helpless.
Mm,
So when I would try different programs like, Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers and Beachbody, now known as Bodhi, container systems and starvation and calorie count, and those things weren't working. And, I didn't have the physical stamina to exercise like I had. It was very, very disheartening. And I think for the first time, I thought, this is it. Like, everything I tried is failing. I'm not feeling better. You know, I I felt like I had one foot in the grave, and that's where I was headed. Yeah,
Mm,
that there was no digging me out of this one.
mm. And because there's a whole list of things that you gave me, right? So it wasn't just the things that we talked about. You also have lupus, Sjögren's, fibro, IBS. I think I mentioned some of these, low blood sugar levels, chronic exhaustion, all of that stuff that comes with chronic autoimmune disease. So much that
Yeah.
you struggled with, as you said, just simple healthcare things as well. And none of the programs were working for you consistently.
No, and the the specialists weren't very promising in outlook either. Like one
Mm-hmm.
rheumatologist, because I couldn't take one of the main medications for lupus, said, I needed to take it to prevent my death. And when I mentioned about doing plant-based, she actually was really against it.
Mm-hmm.
So, the one thing that ultimately turns everything around for me, it's really hard when you're out there looking for support and you can't find it. If
Yeah,
anything, they're more negative because they're actually talking about you dying as if there is no hope. So
right,
if they don't have hope, how do I have hope?
right. How did that feel for you?
Uh, really just alarming. I actually took my husband to the appointment because he didn't believe that she said that I had to take a medication to prevent my death. And when we committed the appointment, I said, "See, I told you she said that." And he goes, "She said that 3 times." Like, he could not believe that she was talking about me dying.
Mm. I just want to jump in here and say, the work that we've done together, I'm a health coach. I'm not a doctor or a specialist, but it's really important to highlight something that we've talked about a lot. You have seen many professionals who just want to shove medications down your throat, who just want to get
Yes.
you on medications, telling you that a holistic, healthy, natural way is not possible. So I just wanted to add that in there because a lot of people get told by either one doctor or multiple doctors, one professional or multiple professionals, that there is only one way out. And there is a very small percentage of people that are like that think to themselves there has to be a better way, and then they find plant-based. And I think that's where I get a lot of people that come to me are in that transition as well. And I feel like that was kind of where you were at when we first met as well. You were like,
Absolutely.
I can't do the medication route. That's going to kill me. Like, I know in something about me, your instincts, girl, your instinct, something in my instincts is telling me that there's a healthier way.
Well, the one medication was literally killing me. It was causing me such horrific pain that I couldn't like walk a block. And I was losing like sensation in my legs. I was losing muscle tone. And on further research, I found some people like me. And that's actually what it was doing. It was killing me. So it was
Mm-hmm.
spreading. And
Mm-hmm.
so the one person I researched, it went up into her esophagus and she ended up in intensive care, on a
Wow.
ventilator.
Wow. And that's not to poo-poo medication because medicine
No.
has literally saved lives. But I'm
Yes.
highlighting this because I want you to think that if you have seen like do research, absolutely do research. There is a lot of people out there that are not funded by medications that want to help you live a long and healthy life. So do your freaking research and see if there is any possibility to do this any other way. Right. So life was very difficult, let's just say, for you before, mentally, physically, just not in a good place. Then you joined one of my 5-day or 3-day trainings. and things started shifting. And I remember on your call, you said, well, I'd like to lose weight, but weight loss isn't my main goal. I would yes, I'd like to lose 20 pounds. That would be cool. But I just want to make, and I am pretty sure you said, I just want to make the rest of my life, whatever I've got left, the healthiest and happiest. Oh my
Yes.
God. I was like, Kerri, let's do this. Let's fucking do this. So you've
That was
lost,
my goal for sure. Because
yeah,
I thought, even if I'm going to be overweight, I just want to be a happy, pain-free, I was ready to accept the extra pounds, but I
yeah.
thought I cannot accept this life, of living in bed and constant pain.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. So you've lost over 21 pounds. So you've smashed your initial goal weight, which wasn't even the main thing. IBS completely gone.
It's gone.
Completely gone. No hypoglycemic attacks, which were really, really debilitating for you, I remember at the start, for over 4 months now. Right?
It's
Or around 4
long
months,
they're
sorry.
gone.
Completely gone.
Yeah,
Completely gone. You totally forgot that you had them when we talked last. But ton more energy.
Yes, I'm living life. I'm out of bed. My dogs are happy that they get to go on walks again. So,
Amazing.
going out, with my daughter, who is in a wheelchair at times. So I need to have that energy to be able to push her around.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So much more energy, which is obviously really helping you in many other areas of your life.
Mhm. Yes.
That's having a ripple effect. So you're able to spend more time with your kids, with your partner, on yourself, stuff like that. So that extra energy is kind of creating time almost, because you're not spending time in bed, you're not spending time recovering, you're spending time doing all of these awesome things.
Yes.
And you're maintaining the weight loss,
Yes,
although
I have.
you've lost an extra 1.5 pounds, which is cool. But yeah, you're maintaining it. And one thing that you mentioned to me is it's easy, effortless.
This is the only time I can think of where I've lost weight where, like, even when I was a healthy weight, my weight would still go up and down, right? And then I'd have to shift when I'm eating, but I'm not shifting anything. I'm still eating the same, and very content, very satisfied, and my weight does not go up and down.
Fantastic. And did I ask you to eat more food to lose more weight at some stage? This is just one of my favorite little flexes that I
Yes.
have with clients. I love it.
I
It's a
had
little
to,
flex of mine. I love to tell people to eat more so that and then the scale just drops.
and really, if you think about it, with my hypoglycemia and things, I actually had to eat substantially more, which might
Yeah.
upset people, but but I did. I had to eat more.
I love it.
And it was something I've never heard anyone tell me before. Only
Amazing. Awesome. Okay. You've come off sleeping medication completely, which has been a game changer for you.
and I've been on them for at least 6 years.
Wow. Wow. And you've got your whole family eating healthier. I remember you said to me, I'm having a bit of a problem now, though, is because all of my family are eating all of the vegetables that I've got in the fridge for me. And then so by Wednesday, there's nothing left. So that's a great problem to have, I think. Amazing.
Yes.
So your kids are getting healthier, your husband's getting healthier. They're all losing weight and getting healthier and having more energy because you have a ripple effect, because you are changing you and everyone's going, wow, look at how amazing mum is, which is cool.
Yeah. And my son is consistently going to the gym and loving it.
And he was never doing that before?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Fantastic.
If
Fantastic.
anything, I spend so much money on vegetables and fruit because he's making the smoothies now. And it'll wake me up. He'll be up before I am, and I can hear the blender going. It's my wake up. Yeah.
Amazing. Some people have cockerels. You have the smoothie blender, which is, I think, is fantastic. And I like to say this as well because I seem to attract a lot of women with ADHD. And that's probably because I am diagnosed myself as well. So the sporadic probably attracts the sporadic. The little bit crazy attracts the little bit crazy. But I also wanted to talk about the fact that you've mentioned to me that your symptoms have started to calm down and alleviate, and maybe not completely gone, but alleviate a little bit. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, if my focus and attention is much better, I'm doing tasks that have been outstanding since January and finally sitting down and getting them done. You can imagine that certainly is a lot better for your life if you can stay on top of those tasks, or would just have full out avoidance. I had,
Mm,
terrible brain fog where it brought me a lot of anxiety,
mm-hmm,
forgetting appointments, and it's a terrible feeling, like the shame you feel when you miss an appointment. I know it's an annoyance to the person that you're supposed to meet with, but they don't know the shame that, sometimes comes. It's like I'm an adult woman and it's in my calendar and I still can't remember to attend, something that I booked and want to attend. So yeah, those things have greatly improved
amazing. That's
and
fantastic.
take away so much stress in your life when you have those amazing changes.
Yeah. Yeah. And talking about stress, you said your emotions are far more stable now as well.
Yes, yes, not quite as cray cray. No,
Not quite.
yeah,
Not quite. But that's why we get along because we've got that 10% in us, right?
yes, yes. I save that for when I'm driving for all the crazy drivers that irritate me. But typically, in LA, much more stable.
Your transformation has been nothing but inspirational. I have just every single week turned up so proud, even on the weeks where the scale hasn't moved and you feel like everything's gone to shit, or you've spent a week in hospital with your daughter, like an entire week, 12 hours a day, and
4 weeks.
4 weeks. For 4 weeks, you are spending literally all day in hospital, sat there with your daughter. And like when I say you've had a very tough year, like people people will always say, I don't have time. I'm really struggling. I've got a lot going on right now. Now it's really interesting because I think when you started, you didn't have much, but in the last year, just it's like shit hit the fan for you. And you're like, I was going to spend this year on me. Like this was the time that I was going to spend on me. But the reason why I talk about this is because life has been so hectic for you, so chaotic. And yet still, you have made the most incredible change mentally, physically, like your nervous system, so much has changed. And I really want to highlight this because so many people will say, I'm not at the right place, I'm not at the right time.
Mhm.
And you are living evidence that if your health is important to you, you can still make a change. Things can be done. And I remember there was a point in those 4 weeks that you were in hospital that we just ended up like, we got like meal delivery service, right? It's like, okay, so you don't have time to cook. That's fine. That's where your priorities are at the moment. And priorities aren't like a moral thing. It's just like, right, this is
Yeah.
more important and this is more important. But even though your health was still up there, it wasn't the top priority. So we were able to make things easier and change the tools and change the systems so that you could still have the energy, the willpower, like the mental energy and all of that to keep focusing on your health throughout the year.
Yes, and in the hospital, which is really unfortunate, um, their their cafe, their restaurant, what they have is horrible. There's nothing healthy for anyone. So that's why, yeah, meal delivery helped. But I also would call my husband and tell him what to throw together for me. And, I was able to, to not gain any weight in the hospital and it was actually more critical for me to keep my energy up so I could be there for my daughter, because it was a whirlwind of doctors coming in, running so many different tests from morning till night. It didn't stop. I was quite tired, but I was able to do it. If I didn't have that proper nutrition, I probably would have ended up in a bed beside her.
Mm. Mm.
Well, there is no time like the present when it comes to your health.
100%. I totally agree. So what I'm hearing, let's recap. What I'm hearing is before you were trapped in this body that was just, it felt like to you that it was just one thing after the other. It's like, well, what the fuck else can you throw at me? And that was exhausting physically and mentally. You mentioned that there was hope. I asked you what hope you had when you started. And you said, well, I had, what did you say?
I hoped that I wouldn't wake up in the morning. That was my hope, that the suffering would end. Because I was suffering. I was suffering physically, emotionally, and I honestly thought it'd be better for my family not to have me wake up, because I wasn't able to do anything for them. Like nothing.
And now 1
You
year
know,
later,
1 year later,
1 year
I
later,
don't feel that way at all.
you have made 180. And yes, there are still things there's some lingering things. Like there's some things that are
Yes.
always going to be there, but I feel like, and I don't want to speak for you, but it feels like you've kind of like just been able to suppress all of those, not in a way that it's coming back, but it's like managed. That's a better word.
Yes. 100%.
Amazing.
Definitely managed. You're right. There are little things here and there, but as anybody would have, but it's manageable. It's
Because you have the
manageable.
tools. Because you
Pardon
have the
me?
tools. Because you have the tools to
I
manage
do.
it.
I have the tools in my tool belt. So, yeah,
Amazing.
I have it all.
Well, I promise you this would be like a 10, 15-minute video, but honestly, your story is so powerful and I think everyone needs to hear this. So you've lost over 20 pounds, exceeded your goal weight. All of your health issues have very much quietened down. You've got the tools to be able to work with them. You know how to pivot when things happen around you or inside your body, right? If you start gaining weight, you know how to bring that back down. If you have a flare up, you know exactly how to bring that back. You have so much more awareness and control. And I think that's something that's just so powerful, is not pretending like in a year's time, if you were to jump on a coaching thing, that everything would disappear. It's, exactly how to manipulate this. And the way that I like to think about weight loss is like holding the reins, right? If you start going one way, you can just pull it in. If you start going the other way, you can start pulling in, because now you actually have the range. You have the tools, the knowledge, the experience to be able to direct your body and your health exactly where you want to go.
I have absolutely no worry, no fear, nothing but, hope. And, well, I'm even beyond the hope. It's like, I've met it. I know what to do. I'm going to be good, right? From here on in, I'm going to be good.
100%.
On that,
Absolutely.
really.
So very quickly, what are 3 things that was the biggest help for you? What made the biggest difference?
Well,
Maybe that you
realizing,
could recommend to other people or something. Sorry.
well, sometimes you just throw in the towel and you think there's just, none of this is going to work for me. I've heard it before. She's just one of those people, the one in a million who won the lottery. It's like, no, I don't win lotteries over here. Right. And that's okay.
I've heard your whole life story, not in a bad way, but like, I know your life story. You have not been lucky.
No,
Anywhere.
this isn't luck. No, actually, my own doctor said to me, Kerri, you deserve to win 2 lotteries. That's what my own doctor said to me. I'm like, oh, is it that bad?
I'm gonna say 3. I'm gonna say 3, girl. Yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, it's not, there's no luck. It's not luck. Anybody anybody deserves it and can do it. There's only one way, through it, get up and go for it. Your health certainly depends on it, and it's worth investing in yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Amazing. And so 3 things that were the most helpful. So was that one, like investing in you, or just trusting that there is a better way out there for you? Like, sorry, I'm
There is. You
putting
have to
my
100% trust there is the better way.
Mm.
And I've been there. I've seen people's stories and think, wow, I thought that way. That's why I said it. You're just one of those people. You're
Mm.
just really lucky, you
Mm.
know.
Mm.
Mm,
So
God
it's not
picked you.
like, yeah,
It's not luck.
stop waiting, stop thinking that other people are lucky, because you have, I mean, Kerri's list, I think I mentioned maybe like 60% of the things that you were struggling with before. Like,
Yes.
you were not in the position, or you didn't have the mindset that things could change. You just hoped that some things would change, right? It's
Yes.
like, I didn't believe it was going to happen, but I was just like, fuck it, what have I got to lose? So
Right.
stop sitting there and thinking that everyone else is lucky, because they're not lucky. They just took action.
Yes.
Amazing. Any other things that you think were the most helpful?
Any other what, sorry?
Any other things you thought were the most helpful to share with other people who
Well,
might
I
be in the
mean,
same situation?
recognizing that, like I'm not special. I'm, not one of those, well, I am special, but I'm not one of those, a unicorn that can't change. I just thought that really I was never going to be able to change. Um, I was in menopause, and, I'm on a lot of sites with women with menopause, and we all felt the same. You gain weight, you feel terrible, you don't sleep. This is just the way it is. But it's not the way it is. Your positive attitude, and hope really, really changed for me. There were so many little things that added up, when it came to, like, eating more greens, and also eating more. Eating more. Who eats more? I ate more. I ate more, and I felt better. And it really started to shift for me. You know, um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yes, I didn't have to eliminate. I want people to know that this isn't, what I did is not starvation. If I want a cookie, I can eat a cookie. You know, Bianca never says, no, do not eat that. Like, I hear that in other programs. You are not to eat that. You feel shame. There was no shame. It was positive. And, having the groups of other women hearing their stories, it really made the difference. The one-on-one coaching calls, I wasn't just one face in a million.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to Weight Watchers and places like that, right? That's what you kind of feel like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not, it's not focused, on you really until you do the work. So it's not just about the eating. It's also about, what I'm experiencing in life in that day. I'm feeling stressed, I'm anxious, I'm having a hypoglycemic attack, so whenever I'd meet with you, if I said that, you would stop and we would focus on that, and delving into that and really feeling self-assured that, I was going to be supported made the difference for me to come back every single week.
And I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you did. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I know that there's going to be a lot of women out there who, as you said, think, oh, well, look at her, I can see her, I can see who she is now. They would have never have seen you before when you were in bed, hoping that you wouldn't wake up the next day because you felt like a burden to your family.
No, I didn't go out. I know, like, some people, it'll, I'm sure they wonder, like, why I say I'm going to come to an event and I don't go. I say I'm going to go to an event because I really wanted to go, but I couldn't go.
Mm.
I just physically couldn't do it.
Absolutely. So if you're thinking that you're struggling, you have a whole host of health issues, physical, mental, maybe you also don't want to burden your family, or you feel like a burden to your family, or you just are struggling mentally and physically. Maybe you don't have a whole list of all of these health concerns and health issues that Kerri has, but something about her story ignited something in you, maybe a little bit of hope, even just a decision that this is not going to be my life. If you're listening to Kerri's story, I urge you to just reach out, have a chat with me, and we can see what your next best steps would be, whether that's working together or I can point you in the right direction. And I want Kerri's story, Kerri's transformation to really, really hit home for a lot of people, because you are such an incredible woman. And I thank you so much for coming and sharing your story and being very vulnerable with the world. So thank you.
And I really pray that these women do come forth and do it, because I think of them, and just the thought that there's so many people like me out there just breaks my heart. You do not have to suffer in silence. There is hope, there is help, and you can, reverse disease. I don't care what any physician tells you. I don't care, if it's cancer. I don't care if it's lupus, breast implant illness, rheumatoid arthritis. You can reverse it. I'm not saying don't take any medications. I'm not saying don't do chemo if you have cancer or things like that. But in addition to those things, 100% you can reclaim your health. I'm just so thankful that I've been able to do that.
Don't you make me cry. I told you.
Yeah.
I'm going to end it there. Is there anything, I feel like that was probably your last words, but anything else that you would like to add for anyone sitting on the fence?
Oh, please don't sit on the fence. Don't be a fence sitter for your life. Dive headfirst right in. You'll be so thankful you did. And then you'll be sitting here telling your story. One by one, these women are going to come forward and tell their story.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm going to have to end this live, otherwise I'm going to start crying. So thank you so much for joining me. Thanks, guys. If this really inspired you, if you know that it's time to change, reach out. Let's have a chat. No strings, and we'll see if I can help. Thank you so much, Kerri, for joining. I appreciate you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Thank you.